Oh,
Yeah.
Hey, did you get my email?
hey, Lisa.
Okay. I know it's convoluted, but man, we're
I don't know if we have any of those or
are
not.
spending $10,000 a year
You'd have to look.
on these yards, and
I don't know where I
you know they're not benefiting the community by not being on the tax roll. You know what I mean?
Probably some law.
So I sent an email to Morgan Patterson just to see what what our options are. So I'll let you know when I hear back from her.
Okay.
All right, we're streaming. Guys. It's all
Everything, all $1,800. But it would have paid for all of
Hey,
it.
did you find out what you needed?
You're still not telling me that. If you'll let me look on the
I knew, I was just teasing you. I know what it was.
let me write it down.
Sorry, thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
He did.
I think we picked a date for Lisa
Yeah.
for the ethics meeting.
Donna,
Did she tell you?
Donna emailed me. Yep, we're all set.
Nicole.
Good morning. I'd like to call the Maysville Board of Commissioners Wednesday, May the 3rd to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cartmell,
Yes.
Commissioner Wood,
Here.
Commissioner McKay,
Here.
Mayor Cottrell,
Yes, ma'am.
City Manager Wallingford,
Here.
City Attorney Cottle,
Here.
Police Chief Palmer,
Here.
Fire Chief Doyle,
Here.
Assistant Chief Carpenter.
We will do the invocation, then, please. Dear Lord, we thank you for the many blessings that you bring our way, and we ask you to lead and guide us as we do our work today to benefit the citizens of Maysville. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen. Proclamation recognizing Carlson Software.
Whereas Carlson Software provides software and technology solutions to the surveying, civil engineering, aerial and ground mapping, mining, solar, construction, waste management, and law enforcement industries. The company has grown to develop STEM-based video games to bring the world of civil engineering to the hands and minds of younger audience. Whereas Carlson employs more than 150 staff members in offices across the globe, including the US, Canada, the United Kingdom, Portugal, and Australia. Whereas despite 40 years of worldwide growth, Carlson Software retains a committed vision of thriving growth and possibility for the city of Maysville. Its efforts and contributions to the historic city span years and investments, including renovating a 100-year-old downtown building and home to Carlson Software and the Park Cafe, as well as crafting Limestone Park, which includes a life-size statue of a bronze buffalo and her calf, bust of Brave Tecumseh, and limestone statues of Kentucky heroes Daniel Boone and Simon Kenton. Whereas every investment Carlson Software has made and continues to make is made with intention for the community in which it resides and the beauty which it provides. Therefore, the City of Maysville Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims May 1st through 7th, 2023 as Carlson Software 40th Anniversary Week.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cartmell,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell.
Yes, ma'am. Budget session. City Manager.
Chief Palmer has another meeting at noon, so I'd like to entertain him first.
Please, if you don't mind. Good afternoon, good morning. I'm here in front of you today to kind of go over what I discussed the last time I spoke with you, and I did not have the document because I was still waiting on a couple of things and how they wanted to be presented, mostly about the grant requests that we have in. So I did update the document and provide to you yesterday. The first item we're looking at here is 2 Dodge Durangos, and at the last meeting, Commissioner Cartwell asked to provide some information as far as used vehicles, like Craig and David are using. Lieutenant Mellencamp has been in charge pretty much of our vehicle for quite quite some time now, and he does a very good job, and I trust his judgment on that. So he put together some pros and cons versus old and new vehicles, and he also has provided me with some estimates from Chicago Motors, we're the same place they got the other ones. And you're looking at anywhere from 28 to $34,000 for vehicles with anywhere from 44,000 to 55,000 miles on them, 2 to 4 to 5 years old. So basically, some pros on a used vehicle, of course, no warranty, no backing from fleet with vehicle issues or parts, no reimbursement from the fleet for repairs, more maintenance costs during
Mike, those
ownership
are
of it.
cons, right?
These are the cons,
I'm sorry, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's
These are
okay.
the cons on it. Unreliable maintenance records, possibly of buying a vehicle with issues, previous problems with uplifting and stuff like that. It's the pros for the used vehicle, of course, it's gonna be cheaper, and you might be able to upfront buy some additional units, but then you're looking at what you got on the backside. And the prime example of that is I looked at an invoice back to a couple of weeks ago, we had another drive shaft on an older vehicle come out, and we're able to negotiate with them to get some kind of a reimbursement back on that. Yesterday I worked an accident in front of Bluegrass Center. I had a sergeant driving a 2015 Dodge Charger pulling behind me to help me with traffic control. As I'm getting information from the individuals in accident, I look back and his vehicle's up in smoke. The heater hose against the firewall on an 8-year-old vehicle came apart. So, it's low maintenance stuff like that. So I say that to say, some pros with a new vehicle is no mechanical issues, lower maintenance costs, purchases in local, dealing with local. We've been very good making an established rapport and relationship, prior when it was man and now when it's 10 short. So, and to be honest, the market for police cruisers is just not there anymore. We're limited to Dodge Durangos, we're limited to Ford Explorers. They're not making the Charger anymore, and we're limited to even a Tahoe. And I don't. Paul knows, as my sergeants and lieutenants can attest to, and even Major Conley. I want the best bang for my buck. You better be fiscally responsible with the budget that I'm in charge of, and that's what they've brought to me. And that's 2 Dodge Durangos at $42,485 per unit, so that'd be $84,970. The outfitting of the 2 Durangos, I think I can do it cheaper than that. I've got $9,100 here per unit, but I think I can do it cheaper than that. And I can go back and crunch them numbers. That would be no problem. So that's what we're looking on vehicle-wise. And again, the next item I'm gonna talk to you about is the
Hey,
K-9.
Mike,
Go ahead.
just a quick question. Are those state contract
Those are state
contract
yes.
pricing? Okay.
And that's warranty on those, is 3-year, 36,000 bumper to bumper, and a 5-year, 60,000 powertrain on those vehicles. So that's a warranty that we're getting on the new vehicle. We talked in the past, and, I've been without a dog for probably 4 months now, and I think a K-9 with the police department is a good resource. I am of my decision, I don't see us needing a dual purpose dog, meaning a dog that will bite. I want a dog that will indicate on narcotics and help find Mr. Wood if he's lost in the woods out there, I think it's beyond the dual purpose dog, and I could be completely wrong. But for what I see in our community, that's what I'm looking at, and that's approximately $14,000 for a new K-9, and that's K-9 and training and so on and so forth. The other issue that we had talked about is the Cellbrite Digital Forensics. Now, we got a grant from ASAP, and I'll continue to put in grants as this continues for digital forensics. And we're in the age of technology. Technology changes. You look at my bottom grant request, and that's all due to technology. Your investigations now have migrated to the cell phone and to more so than the computer. It used to be computers, now it's everything is your evidentiary information is on cell phones. So, we got a grant last year and got involved with the digital forensics. We're looking to upgrade. This is a $38,000 annual thing that, again, we'll continue to look for grants to subsidize, but to get us off the ground for this one and to continue this year with the digital forensics. That's what we're looking for. And I'm looking for other avenues too, but to get started with going on this is what I'm looking for. And then the last item there is the key scan hardware and software. The police department, when we moved over there in 2007, they retrofitted the old distributor place, and we went to electronic locks and you had key fobs and stuff to get in. That software is 2007 software. When we had our last power outage and surge over here, if I didn't prop a police department door open, we couldn't get in or out. The electronic locks were locked; they couldn't be overridden. So it's time for an upgrade on that. It really is. And that's quote I got on that is $6,927.90. And then if you look at the bottom of the document, again, we have put in for grants both the 911 service grant for the CAD update, which again is working off Windows 7 software. And then we have met as a committee for the communications committee. Phase one, there's a 3-phase system for our upgrades for our radio systems. Phase one will be paid for by CMRS money. Phase 2 and phase 3, we are in the process of and have met with both RCS and we've met with Buffalo Trace and have a grant in the works for the retrofitting and the upgrade to consume phase 2 and 3, and that's $512,000. So that's all grant requested funds, but I wanted to put that on there to make you aware that's the monies we're requesting, that if we don't get it, we might have to go back and either try again next year or get this monies to get this stuff upgraded. And at that, I stand for questions or anything that you have.
Any questions for Chief?
Is it possible to share the digital forensics program or hardware or anything with another agency? In other words, could we piggyback with Sheriff's Department or?
What we do now and the way we got initially started in it with the ASAP grant is we do it as a regional. We are the host. If you and your agency needed a phone download, you come over and get with me and we'll set you up and download it, give you that evidence to go back and take to your case. So we've sold it as a regional opportunity.
Are you asking Andrew kind of like a cost sharing?
Yeah, that's what
And
I'm saying.
you and I had talked about it a little bit.
I've been approached by actually Chief Todd Kelly out of Ashland, and he's wanted to try to do something similar to that as well. And I think that if you get enough folks involved with the same thing, but you're the chief, say in Fleming County, you might want a different product than mine, or want this, or you might want it in-house. And it's I don't want to say it's an ego thing, but it's nice to have it in-house, if that makes sense. I can give you examples of investigations that we've had that detectives have got consent over an individual's electronic items, have started downloading it while they're interviewing them for the task at hand downstairs. So it makes it nice, but yes, I think if you had a mutual agreement with another agency, it could be something that could be worked out.
Just a question.
Yes, sir.
I know that
And I hope that answered it.
Flemingsburg uses maybe a different program than you all do, and yours does things that theirs can't, and yours does things that, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I see the benefit of having multiple agencies that have different programs,
Yes.
but also see the value in sharing when possible. So that's
Yes, no, I
just a
understand. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it in you said something about chargers not being available in the future. Is it in your intention to replace future cruisers with SUVs? Or are you kind of stuck in that?
I'm hoping, I'm kind of stuck.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that somebody comes back with a sedan. But right now, unless you go back to buying used sedans, that's all you're gonna have. Because I think everywhere you see is, nobody's making them anymore. And I don't know why.
Are they not good cars, or they just not making them?
They're still making them. I mean, if Ford was still making Crown Vics, I can tell you we'd have Crown Vics sitting in the parking lot over there. That was probably the best card Ford ever made as far as a law enforcement vehicle. And I don't know why they stopped. And I don't know what the problem is with the Chargers that they're not making them anymore. But I mean, everything is going to, you're getting away from cars and going to SUVs.
Maybe there's just such a demand, and shortage of supplies that they go for the higher profit vehicles first.
Could be.
And government vehicles are not high profit for them, I don't think.
No, they're not, no, sir.
Is
Oh,
gas
no.
mileage a consideration with the SUVs? Do the Durangos get significantly worse or better?
We have
Explorer?
went to a 6-cylinder, so it's getting a little bit better gas mileage. We're staying away from the first Chargers we got were the Hemi V8s. There's no need for that. Our pursuit policy for our department, our agency is so stringent that it doesn't, it has to be an active violent felony in progress right now. Because it's just too much danger to the community, to the citizens, to the officers. So there's no need for that massive engine. So we went to a 6-cylinder engine. We've stayed with all-wheel drive because that benefits us in the wintertime, that we're not tying up public works. Hey, we need, 8 cruisers to have snow tires put on, and then it stops, and now we need 8 cruisers to have snow tires taken off. So,
Okay.
the gas mileage is not really that bad at all.
Okay.
And you're not gonna be able to buy a 6-cylinder vehicle after this year.
With the car industry, it doesn't surprise me. They're
Everything.
changing everything.
My Chevy truck is the last 6-cylinder. They're
Yeah.
building the 4s.
Well, and that's fine. I mean, again, we don't have the need for speed.
Yeah.
There's no need for it anymore in law enforcement, in my opinion, especially in our community. But yeah, Commissioner Carter, it does not surprise me. They're changing this stuff every day, and I know it's emissions based, probably, it's a lot of it, and cost,
And gas mileage.
and gas mileage, so,
Thank you, Chief Tom.
yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Chief. Chief Doyle?
Sure, so I'll go through mine in a similar way. Again, there are 4 capital items, and then I'll just hit real quick on a couple of additional subjects that you probably need to be aware of. But of course, first and foremost is that new fire engine. Last time we purchased an engine was around 2014. I'm not sure which actual budget year that was, but in the general time of 2014 was our last new one. If you remember, we did purchase a used one for just under $30,000 a couple of years ago, and it has served its purpose, which was to be a temporary patch until we were able to put this in as a capital investment. Again, that comes in at a whopping $680,000, which is probably even being a little bit conservative compared to what a lot of cities and departments are spending on some of these units. The biggest thing with this engine is if we do move forward with the purchase, we're probably looking at well over a year to receive it. I don't think it's quite as bad as the ambulance holdup as far as custom-built trucks, so I don't think it'll be quite 2 years, but it will technically be in the next budget. So I did talk to Penny a little bit about how that should work, and it sounds like if this is indeed approved, it would still be earmarked for that next budget, so it won't necessarily affect this one, but we need to have the approval during this budget process. Does that make sense?
So you're thinking FY '25 is when
Correct,
the
but-
number would actually hit?
Correct. And that's the way she explained to me that it would have to basically be earmarked, that it was going to be guaranteed to be there then, even though we asked for the approval now.
But if it would happen to, you order it and it actually came before, like.
So I almost asked her that, and I think the chances of that happening are pretty rare, but I did, I thought, well, if we move on this and it comes in, say, May of next year, I didn't ask her. I assume at that point I would approach you all and ask to amend the budget so that we could go ahead and pay for it.
That, or we just go on and put it in, just in case.
Yeah, and then that, obviously, none of that makes a difference to me. It was just a little bit confusing to me as to how that would work being so far out, which is why I even mentioned it to her this morning. And I'd be glad to answer any questions about that. It's a pretty straightforward, it's just an expensive item, which is why we only do it about every 10, 15 years. The next item is a frontline ambulance. As I've told you before, very straightforward. We are in the ambulance business, and unfortunately, they get drove a lot and they get a lot of abuse. I still call our two frontline 911 trucks our new trucks. That's how we refer to them. They've both got over 100,000 miles on them. I feel like we just bought them not very long ago, but they get worn out fast. If you remember the smaller edition truck that we use primarily for transfers, we got it last year, I believe. It took several months to get it online. Again, it still smells and feels like a brand new truck. It seems like we just got it a few weeks ago. They told me this morning it's got 40,000 miles on it. It's the business we're in, so we will need an ambulance. This truck, if we purchased new, would also take about 2 years. That is a really conservative number, so I'm thinking we're most likely either going to find a demo or even remount one of the boxes on our trucks, which we've discussed before as an option.
So do you feel like there's a chance it would hit in this?
Yeah, I do
fiscal
think this
year?
one, I think this one absolutely needs to be in this budget,
Okay.
because we'll push and try to make that happen. We really need to. The third item there is probably, I guess, one of the more confusing items, and it is a cot loading system for 4 ambulances of our 6. The most basic way to put this to you is that we roll the patient to the ambulance on the cot, and it self-loads up to 600 pounds. Doesn't sound like that should be a big deal. We're mostly all in pretty good shape. We do physical agility every year, but we also have a lot of back injuries. And you know, one major back injury will pretty well pay for these, as we are pushed and explained by these salesmen when they come around and want to sell these things. But these are also supported heavily by insurance companies. I'm sure KLC would recommend that we make this purchase. And we're kind of behind the times. Most of the agencies around us are utilizing this kind of technology. So we did, if you remember, we installed one in that transfer truck a year or so ago. It's been a tremendous help, and this will make it even better. So that's 4. That'll leave 1 ambulance, which is kind of like the backup to the backup with a manual system in it. And I see no issues with leaving that way for now. And then that last item, again, is kind of an odd one, and that's one that'll be a couple years out. If you remember, we passed the resolution to apply for this grant. I'll let, if you have any questions, I'm going to let Assistant Chief Carpenter answer them, because this is kind of his baby. He is working with PM Director Lease on this grant with the Coast Guard, the Port Security Grant, for a boat for this area. We have been told that it is quite frankly very likely that we would be awarded this grant, but they want to award us for funds to have something that is unlimited. So they want us to have a top-notch boat, for lack of a better way to say it. This will be utilized by the PD. I don't want to drag Mike in with me, but it is a lot about security and port security, so they'll be welcome to use that. They'll be welcome to train with that as well. So even though it does fall in our budget because we are applying for the grant, it will actually, it'll belong to the city, and whoever needs to use that for emergency purposes or security purposes will be able to do that. Pretty straightforward. A lot of money, but it's just 4 straightforward items.
Any questions for the chief?
Yeah,
Oh, go
how
ahead,
much
Ben.
money do you generate on this ambulance run? About over 300?
Over 300, yeah. It's been quite a while since we really put a pencil to it, and it's extremely, a lot of elements that can come into play to say exactly what you're generating. I mean, what I generate is easy. What we are actually profiting is where it makes it a little bit harder, yeah.
But you are, but it is profit.
It is, yeah, absolutely.
So it would pay for itself.
Oh yeah, the ambulance does pay for itself. Yeah. For the actual equipment, yes. And I will just brief you, I think I talked to you all individually just a little bit about what's coming forward with the school system. It's funny, about 6 months ago now, I think Chief Palmer came to me and said he would be interested in doing something with the schools as far as supporting a career pathway with law enforcement. And he kind of asked my opinion as far as the fire department. And I told him then that 4 or 5 years ago I approached the school and wanted to do that. And it wasn't extremely favorable at the time, and we kind of lost interest in that. But I was approached just completely out of the blue, nothing to do with even our conversation, about 2 months ago by Rick Ross, and they do want to start a program, kind of take a baby step with maybe one class in the fall, and they would like our assistance in providing the instruction for that class. It would be fire department related, and they may build on that in the future. And it was even discussed about law enforcement as well, and adding that element at some point, whether it's a different program or in addition to what they're starting here. Bottom line is they are going to reimburse us for that time. So it will affect the budget, but it'll basically be an in and out. I talked to Penny again this morning about coming up with a number to make sure that our expenses are covered, and we'll be doing that soon, and we will come to you with some sort of contract or resolution or whatever we need to do that Kelly tells me we need to do to make that right. So we plan to do that in August, and kind of as an addition to that, have an employee that we will probably change to daytime hours, as I think I've explained to each of you, with some additional duties that will go along with that position. So we're looking at 3 or 4 months down the road, we may have that open shift position that will have to be filled, but it'll be kind of a slow process, and it's all kind of a part of this program to get this guy teaching out of the school. Hopefully that makes sense. I know it's a little bit muddy, but I think I explained a little bit more in detail to each of you individually. So.
And so when you're looking at that position and the cost, you would include the insurance, unemployment, and all the pieces?
We will, and I will tell you that we haven't talked specific numbers, but when I've met with the individuals with the school system, they kind of threw out some annual amounts that to me sounded like they were very justifiable to more than cover what we need to cover. So I don't foresee an issue there. And obviously I will, when we reapproach you with that contract, I'll explain in detail how we came up with the numbers and how well it's going to cover.
Sounds good.
Any questions for Chief Doyle?
Nope. I'm good.
Okay.
On all of it.
As we're moving forward, and this is budget related, what would you all think about on, because we're going to have some other departments at our May 11th regular meeting. What would you think about maybe just extending that meeting and getting into the weeds a little bit more on all of the budgets? And now I even throw this out there, we could do a potluck, or we could have
We could.
the chefs back there,
Well,
maybe
I'm
do
not cooking, no.
burgers and dogs.
I don't cook.
What would you all?
Because
Because I'd like to start getting into more depth on each department and what you'd like to keep, what you'd like to take out, some things like that. At our May 11th regular meeting, kind of go through our regular business and then kind of go into a budget session. See how that would be with everybody. We need to do general administration and codes, Main Street, and tourism.
So we have, like, when we make donations to the.
Yeah, all that'll be in general administration, and yeah, all that. We'll have that ready for you.
I can, because I usually save that day. I know.
Is that okay? Well, Vic, what do you think, bud?
Well, you all can. I've got, my daughter
Oh,
has
yeah.
2 ball games.
Oh, okay. No, I understand. What time
One is
does
on the 11th.
she start?
On the 12th.
What time she start on 6? Yeah, I get it.
That's fine, just schedule another day. I'll work around it.
Okay. No, I'd like to have it.
You can't
No.
eat a hot dog, do you? Well,
No, I'd like to have I'd like to have everybody involved.
No cook, I don't.
Well, what about the following week, or even the first part of the week of the 22nd? I'd really like to have everybody present.
Okay. Let me get home and I'll look at that.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't let's do this. You all look at your calendar between the 15th and the 24th. I'll send an email out to you later on and say, hey, what doesn't work? and just email me individually, and then I'll try to set something up, and I'll send that out to everybody, and we'll go from there. How's that sound?
That's good.
Is that okay? All right, good deal. Mayor, Commissioners, that is all we have for you today.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make it.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Brammer?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cartwell?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Cottrell?
Thank you all. Yes, sir. Oh,
Want to sign that?
yeah, we do. We do have the police memorial at 10. We have that at 10, yeah.
Talk to you about this before I sign.
Okay.
That's on the 11th, isn't it, Matt?
Do I have a
Yes,
typo?
10 o'clock.